Every once in a while, Bungie adds something new to the game or makes some changes that results in our Guardians receiving a buff. Better yet, one of those random changes or additions brings an old exotic that's been sitting in our vault to life. A perfect example would be Starfire Protocol when they buffed fusion grenades way back in the day. It was so good, we started using grenades instead of guns to DPS Atheon. Oh, the good old days. When Lightfall dropped, I got a bunch of DMs telling me to check it out or asking what I think because we got our hands on a few new fragments for the Solar Arc and Void subclasses, which resulted in a possible resurrection of an old exotic called Mask of the Quiet One. And I know, at this point, you're questioning why you even clicked on the video. But hear me out for a second because we're going to play both sides on this one. A lot of the builds we create focus on one specific thing, like a certain exotic, weapon damage, or grenade spamming, and some of the old exotics don't fit the narrative anymore, even more so with this new mod system. The same thing applies to the Mask of the Quiet One. This exotic came out in the dark ages of double primaries and when Bungie was afraid to let us be powerful. In its current state, it'll never be the centerpiece of a build. But what if we look at it differently? Say we just use it as an addition to our playstyle in these new fragments. Will that make it somewhat viable? I'll let you be the judge of that. Today, we're going to talk about this exotic, the fragments, and give you my 2 cents on whether or not those fragments help this dusty helmet fit into our everyday Titan lives. Hello, you beautiful weirdos. I hope you're doing well. Let's talk about this helmet. The Mask of the Quiet One is a world drop that can be picked up from just about anywhere, and I'm sure most of you have it by now. The exotic perk is called Dreaded Visage, grants ability energy when you're damaged. When critically wounded, regain maximum health on kills. A big misconception I hear often, and it's due to Bungie's wording, is the maximum health part. Our shields and health are separate, so it only gives maximum health on the red bar portion, not our shields. But it does help our shields recover a little faster since we're at full health already. And the ability regeneration is 5% to abilities every time we take damage with a 1 second cooldown in between. That 5% doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it does add up. It's like having passive income only for our abilities, seeing as we're always taking damage. I do need to mention, this helmet isn't for everyone, and to be completely blunt, it's kind of a turd on its own, but it does start coming to life a bit when we use it passively in PvE and PvP. Plus, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't cover what my followers asked of me. The fragments I keep referring to are Spark of Instinct on the Arc subclass and Echo of Vigilance on Void. Spark of Instinct sends out a shockwave that jolts targets when we take damage while critical. It has a 15-second cooldown, which is kind of a letdown, but it does come in handy during situations where we end up surrounded. We can jolt all the targets, finish one off, and cause a chain reaction to the rest. Also, those chain reaction kills count towards the health regen from the mask, which is a bonus. And Echo Vigilance grants a 45 HP overshield when getting a kill while critical. It does have an 8-second cooldown between activations, but that's okay because I can't tell you how many times this fragment has come in clutch during a PvE or PvP gunfight, even with the cooldown. Basically, it's saved my booty on numerous occasions. We don't really notice the health regen as much on this one because the overshield we get kind of overshadows the mask regen, but it's still a good peace of mind knowing our health is back to full so we can start recovery faster. Both of these fragments do synergize well with the mask because they both require going critical, which is exactly what one of the perks on the helmet requires for it to work. It always seems to be just enough health to keep us alive by a hair and activate either one of those fragments or make it to the next gunfight. Now, are those fragments enough to make the Mask of the Quiet One viable? I can't answer that for you because we all have different likes, but from the number of messages I got, it seems to be. In my opinion, through my own playtesting, it worked out okay as long as I didn't think about it. But that's all, just okay. The Arc fragment did alright in PvE with some finisher mods on, but it's not something I'd take into endgame. We'd get beat up too much being that close, seriously. Even in PvP, where I thought it would come to life, it still got outshined by the overshield from Echo of Vigilance. This makes me question why we even need the helmet with the fragment in the first place. And for those of you who message me asking for my opinion, I think we have better options to take up that slot, like Insurmountable Skullfort. That gives us health and infinite melees, which is a lot easier to manage. Bungie needs to rework this helmet, plain and simple, while still keeping the core of it alive. I mean, it's still one of the sexiest looking Titan helmets, and I sometimes wear it strictly for fashion, so we definitely need it updated. I'm sorry, that's probably not what you wanted to hear, but those 2 fragments would work much better with some other exotics. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. What do you think? Do those fragments make it a viable option? And if not, what would you change on the helmet to make it usable? I hope you found this video helpful. This was something I was asked to do, and I had a lot of fun. Remember, be true to yourself, be good to one another, and have a fantastic day. Thank you!
I don't fucking take smoke, I'ma poke a hole through you, choking's overdue. Come at me and you won't get any older, dude, crack your holder too. Heating up inside of me, blood so violently, thanks for trying me. Now it's finally time to see how this rivalry becomes a dynasty.